Yeah, go ahead. You can leave. You'll be gone for maximum 2 or 3 days and return begging me for shelter. I
Imagine.
replied, You'll see. I'll be successful, and I promise I'll make.
Listen up, guys. Now, if you are active on YouTube, which most of you are, I bet you must have seen one of those animated stories, or if you follow a particular YouTuber, maybe a YouTuber like Aziland, is Infinite or whatever his name is, you must have watched him do a reaction to one of those animated stories. So today, guys, as you must have seen on the thumbnail, we are going to react to one of those animated stories because one of you were like, now you guys are telling me to react to a lot and lots of crazy things nowadays, and I guess it's okay because I do reaction videos most of the time. I had no idea that they even react to some of all these things. So today, guys, we are going to react to one of those animated stories, and this one is I became rich from $10. I want to see how that is possible. You know, those animated stories, some of them are really fascinating. You want to know what is going on, and I don't know if they are real stories. I watch a couple. Okay, this particular one we're about to react to, I didn't really watch it. I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch it, but I have watched a couple of these animated stories, and I found out that I don't even know. I didn't even read stories. It sounds so real and so, I don't know what to say, but so let's go and watch how this girl, I think it's a girl, became a millionaire from $10. Was it billionaire or millionaire? I think it's millionaire. So what is there? Read it. So right about now, guys, let's get into the video. With your welcome to TY, guys. You know how to do. I got your back like your smile. So if this is your first time on this channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. You know, hit the like button as well. And guys, go follow me on my social medias. You know, like this video to really be helpful, guys. So guys, I'll see you guys next. Let's go. Now, guys, listen, we're about to get into the video on how to do. Now, the story is I became rich from $10. Now, let's find out how she became rich from $10.
He came back home with
Okay.
a woman on one side and a drink on the other. My mother was sitting on the couch hugging me tightly. I was very sick. When she saw my father like that, she wasn't shocked at all and
Let's
didn't
increase
start
volume.
a fight. Instead, she begged him to at least take me to the hospital. But he
Okay.
kicked her with his leg and went to the bedroom with that woman. Her
He
own
did that.
bedroom. Her own bed. She didn't care though. Her heart was all.
Did you hear that? Imagine assuming your dad came back home with a lady. Look how broken she looks. She looks so sad. With a woman, right? You are sick, right? You're not feeling fine. Your dad came home with a woman, and your mom is looking, and he just walks straight into you guys' bedroom with the woman. I mean, let's not talk about what they even want to do. That's to come home with the woman alone. So disrespectful. Okay, so going into the matrimonial bedroom.
Already broken a million
Don't know what to
times.
say.
All she cared about was taking me to the hospital as fast as possible.
Yeah.
She was crying and shivering, yet she gathered her courage, took money out of my father's wallet, and
Whoa.
ran to save me. The next day, she was punished for what she did.
Yeah.
My father got angry because she took his own money.
Imagine.
He couldn't care
To
less
teach your own
about what
daughter.
happened to us. He only cares about himself. That evil monster gave my mother the worst
really a
life she
monster.
could imagine. She married him at a young age, wasn't educated, and her
Yeah.
family gave up on her. My grandmother refused to help her, so my mother ran away and married my father. Therefore, my mother had no place to go.
Some of
She
all these
chose to
stories are
suffer
actually
with my
real.
father in silence and be the obedient wife for him.
Ah.
Plus, if she'd dare and ask for a divorce, he'd make her sign a contract giving me up and all of her rights, so she'll end up with nothing.
Yeah.
Until I turned 18, we lived in hell. Though my dad had money, he didn't give us any. He used to spend it on himself, other women, and drinks.
Some men are actually
I
like
couldn't
this.
go to any birthday
Let's be
parties
honest.
or hang out with my friends, so they started to neglect me. They thought I was avoiding them on purpose. But the truth is, my father wouldn't let me. He kept us home all the time. My mother wasn't allowed to leave,
Imagine.
and I was only allowed to go to school. One day, my dad came back home, and he looked angry. He started yelling and breaking things. My mother and I were terrified. We
Hi.
sat in the corner waiting for him to calm down. But instead,
Now, guys, imagine having to live in fear of one of your parents. Imagine that. I don't know how close you are to your parent, but I'm pretty close with my mom, dad as well. But imagine having to live in fear. We Nigerians, like honestly, like we African children, I think we have a taste of that, but yes, it gets to an extent. Okay, according to this story, they are terrified. We know that our parents love us, but we know that they give us what they call tough love, right? But this is just so sad. Like honestly, heartbreaking.
he started throwing glass on the floor and
Jeez.
calling us bad names. I was sobbing my eyes out and called my grandmother, his mother, asking her to come and help us. Yet she said, "Don't worry, he won't harm you. He's your father after all. It's probably because of your mother." I think she pissed him off.
Imagine.
That's when I couldn't take it anymore. I
Imagine.
went totally ballistic. I was afraid he would start throwing stuff at her, so I got up and fought against him. I tried to take my mother out of his arms and protect her. I managed to push him away and he fell on the ground. I was shaking. I started crying and begging my mother to leave him. He got up and looked at me. He said sarcastically, "Yeah, go ahead. You can leave. You'll be gone for maximum 2 or 3 days," and returned begging me for shelter.
Imagine.
I replied, "You'll see. I'll be successful, and I promise I'll make up for every miserable day we spent with you. One day, you'll be an old sick man living alone, wishing we had never left. And I'll come and show you what you have lost."
That's right.
That's when
Tell
he
him.
laughed and told me that I am a loser and we won't
Imagine.
survive without him. Then he pulled out a $10 bill, threw it at my face, and said, "For the house you want to buy, you know." That day when he fell asleep,
Imagine your own father telling you that you are a loser. So sad.
my mother and I packed some stuff and ran from the house. My mother and I
Why
hesitated
didn't
at
you people run
first,
since?
yet we couldn't stand living
Then-
with him anymore. I promised my mother to give her a better life. Fortunately, I saved some money, so we went to a nearby motel in our town and spent the night there. The next day, I spoke to the manager and asked if he had any job offers. To my luck, he had something. We joined the cleaning staff, and he was nice enough to offer us a worker discount to rent a room. Months
Yeah.
passed, and during that time, I was searching for another job and trying to save money. Well, you might think that things went great for us and that my manager was a great person. Well, no. Later, I figured out that he wasn't kind at all. He started treating us badly and wanted us to do extra work for free. My
Imagine.
mother started to get very sick from this extra work, and my manager was being meaner than ever. Once I tried to ask
Why
for a
people like
raise
this?
and threatened to report him. He fired us, claiming that I wanted to get closer to him because I'm a gold digger. Since we did not earn enough money to rent an apartment, I had to think of something else. I searched on the internet and found a women's shelter close by. For me, it's not the best idea, but we
Yeah.
needed a place to go. As for my mother, she couldn't find any job. No one wanted to hire her. It wasn't the greatest place, but we managed to survive while searching for something else. After all, it was better than returning home to my father. He would have treated us even worse. After a long search, I finally managed to find a job that offers a high salary and a good
Whoa.
company
Wow.
that needed no experience and no
Yeah.
degree. I was thrilled and super excited when they invited me to an interview, and I jumped out of joy when I got accepted. I had to leave my mother alone most of the time because I had to spend 6 hours on the road every day. It takes 3 hours to get to the company, and I had to change 3 buses.
3
Though
hours.
it was exhausting, I worked hard and never missed a day. I even asked for extra hours.
Now, guys, like, what does this story even remind you of? I don't know. Have you watched The Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith and his son? If you have watched that movie, you have to be honest. I think there's some certain part of that movie that you came close to tears, like literally close to tears. That's what this story kind of reminds me of, like that vibe. So sad. Like, people can be so mean.
Until I finally managed to rent a small apartment next to my work. When I
Yeah.
had everything organized, my mother immediately followed me. When she entered the apartment, she started to cry. Though it was small and old, I saw happiness in her eyes, and she felt for the first time in her life as if she had her own kingdom. That brought joy to my heart. I
Every
will
woman
never
is a
forget
queen,
how
you know.
excited she was. 4 years passed, I had a stable income, and we were living peacefully. I got a promotion at work, yet I felt that I could do something bigger and better. I had an idea about starting my own business,
Hmm.
even though in my case it was too risky. I gathered my courage and invested my savings in it. My mom was too worried, but she felt like she didn't have the right to stop me since this is my own money, and I already did so much for her. Deep down, I knew I might lose it all, yet I had faith in myself. So I quit my job and started my own business. At first, it went great. I started investing more and more money, and I even got a bank loan.
Wow.
But suddenly, I started to have problems. One after another. I lost a huge amount of money. I tried
Jesus.
harder. I tried everything I could to fix and
Ooh.
save it, but I just couldn't.
Boom.
I
When it
lost
all
hope
comes
and gave
crashing
up on
down.
everything. We even had to sell our furniture and hand in the apartment. We ended up alone in the streets one more time. My mother was
So sad.
heartbroken. Though she tried to hide her feelings and cheer me up, I was devastated and kept imagining my dad laughing at me sarcastically. And I remembered his words, "You are a loser." My mom tried to comfort me. I thought about getting back to the shelter, but I knew my mom didn't like it, and she had a hard time there. She acted excited to get back and that it was okay, but she's a terrible liar. So I decided to go to my grandmother's house, her mother. At first, she refused to open the door, even though she knew her daughter and granddaughter might end up sleeping in the streets. What a heartless woman!
Imagine.
I kept on begging her. I had to give up my ego and put my pride aside. I need to protect my mother. After crying and begging for hours,
There are
she
some wicked
finally
grandmothers
agreed,
out there.
and we stayed at her house for a while.
I don't know if you
However,
have
she
watched
took
this movie. If
advantage
you
of my
haven't, go check it out. Flowers in the Attic. Attic. So touching, like so emotional. Like this movie is so sad. Like literally to that point. Everything about that movie is just sadness. Flowers in the Attic. Go check it out. Like you see that grandmas are mean. Okay? Not all
My mother
grandmas are
had no
nice.
choice but to accept her new destiny. Though many might hate me for saying this, I hated my grandmother. She was worse than my father. I mean, I know my mother made a mistake, but she was so young. How could a person be so cruel, especially a close one like family?
Imagine.
And to make things worse, when my uncle knew that my mother and I were staying at my grandma's house, he went furious.
What?
He was afraid that my grandmother would forgive my mother and count her in her will, because
Whoa.
when my mother left, he had everything for himself. Money had blinded him. He tried to kick us out of the house many times, but one day I got sick of him and started yelling, "Don't worry, we don't want anything. Even if my grandmother offers us money, I won't take it. So can you please let us stay in here until we find another place to go to? I promise we won't
Imagine.
bother you, and I'll try to get out as fast as possible. Meanwhile, we just need
Your
a
own
roof."
sister.
Tears were streaming down my eyes, and I felt powerless. I kept remembering my father's words, "You are a loser. You won't make it on your own," and wondered why evil people only get more powerful, and people who are helpless get more miserable.
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted
true.
to give up on everything, and I was thinking maybe I was wrong. Maybe we shouldn't have left our house in the first place. When suddenly my mom came into the room and hugged me. She said, "You are my hero, the strongest person I've ever met.
Aw.
You did everything you could, and even more to save me. I love you." And she kissed me on the forehead. Months passed and I worked every single day. I didn't give up on my business, and I tried to make it successful again. Plus, I found a new job, and there I met Jacob. To my surprise, we shared the same interests, and I told him about my business.
Okay.
He was well educated and knew a lot. Jacob offered to help and asked me to hire him. He was my first employee and honestly had a huge impact. He helped me a lot, and we did it together. This time I made sure I could handle things on my own, and both of us quit our jobs and worked day and night. Having him by my side felt like a godsend. We managed to make my business a successful one. We also managed to have offers from big companies to be our sponsors.
Hey,
Years
yeah.
passed and I became
I feel like
rich.
this is a true
I
story.
bought my mother a penthouse with a sea view. She
Mm.
liked to drink her coffee while
Wow.
watching the sunset. My
How
name
long
was
did this
all
take?
over the internet and I was famous. Jacob and I decided to get married.
Okay,
And
I
after
was
keeping
expecting
my
that.
promise, I guess I should dedicate time for myself. My uncle tried to contact me after I became rich to help his daughter and find her a job, but I refused. I kicked him out of my company.
That's right.
However, my
Kick
mother
them
wanted to
out.
keep
All of
contact
them.
with her family, especially her mother. I don't understand why, but she had her own beliefs, and I respect that. Days before my wedding, I went to my father's house. He didn't change at all. When I saw him in front of me, my heart started beating fast. Every ounce of my body shivered, and I had a terrible feeling in the pit of my stomach the entire time. I
Yeah.
guess after all these years, I'm still afraid of him.
Let me tell you a fact. This is a proven fact. I think it's proven. If you are scared of somebody, the truth is, it's sad, but it's the truth. You might be scared of that person for the rest of your life. Yeah, I mean, even though you overcome that fear, some amount of it is still going to be left in your system. This is the truth. It's fact, honestly. No matter how
But I
successful
had
you
to
become.
gather up my strength. I looked into his eyes and said, "Hi, Dad. How have you been?" He was shocked to see me. I could tell from the look he had on his face, yet his ego wouldn't let him admit it. And he replied, "Better than ever. I can't describe my happiness and how my life got better without you and your
Pride.
mother in it."
Pride will
My
kill some
heart
people.
stopped. I wanted to crush his face to the ground. After all he did, he was still stubborn and wouldn't admit his mistakes. However, I smiled and said, "Well, I think you watched the news and you know that we're doing great as well. Greater than ever,
So she's
without
even on the
you."
news.
I threw the wedding invitation on the table in front of him and said, "Well, I'm getting married in a couple of days." Then I pulled out my brand new car keys from my designer handbag, put on my sunglasses, and said, "You're invited, not as my father because I don't have one. But I promised you
Ouch.
something, and I kept my promise. You are invited to see our life without you. Oh, and don't forget to buy new clothes. It's a fancy wedding." I also pulled out some $100
What a
bills out
comeback.
of my bag, threw them on the table, and said, "For the clothes, you know." Then I left. I felt
Ouch.
victorious. Though he didn't confess it, I knew that he was torn inside, and that's what I wanted. You might think I'm evil, and what I've done might be
Nope, you are
wrong.
not evil.
Well, all I can
That's
say
called
is that
revenge.
after all, I'm
It's
his daughter, and
revenge.
we share the same blood.
After all. Now, I don't know if that story was real or not, but we can all agree on something, and that is we have all learned one or two things from this story, and I think I might do more reactions to this animated story because some of them are so interesting and nice, and I liked it. I really enjoyed it. So, listen, revenge is a dish best served cold. Now, listen. But the truth is, some of you I'll be like, especially some, I know a lot of them, they'll be like, "Don't worry, one day I go shock this person. Don't worry, one day I go blow. But honestly, some of you are so focused on trying to impress other people or trying to be successful so you can flex on other people or show these people that you have made it. These people, meanwhile, these people you are so focused on trying to shock. You want to shock them, brother Shaggy. Abi, you want to shock them, Abi. They don't even give a shit about you. So I think sometimes it's better to live your life. Still be focused. You want to be successful. Yeah, but not do it because you want to, you know, get a revenge on your boss or whatever. I think it's better to be successful with your genuine heart. And God will bless you abundantly. I believe that. Because some people, as you're looking at me, maybe you are thinking of the same thing. As you watch you are thinking of, this is what I'm planning for that my boss. One day I'll become boss and he will suffer. Or maybe if you are small, I think I used to have this plan. I had this teacher back then in the school. So flog us. Some of my friends would be like, "You know what? Don't worry now. Your own picking will grow. Maybe I'll become a teacher to just to flog your child." I mean, that's a stupid, pretty stupid thing to say. Sometimes it's just good to just get successful. Honestly, just try and learn from things, and move on. Some things are not worth it. Some grudges are not worth holding. Some revenge are not worth plotting to take. Seriously, honestly, I feel like sometimes just face your life. If you are doing good for you, you know. So that's what I think. So guys, you know how we do. Listen, if you enjoyed that story, please be sure to drop a like. Click like the video and share it as well if you can. Now I know. I'm not your average fun person. I'm not. I can be crazy at times, but that's at times. Now I don't feel like shouting, so that's why I'm talking slowly. So that's right about it, guys. So I'll see you guys next video. Now DJ Boy coming to you guys, and I got your back at your spine. So guys, right about now, I'm out. And listen, I'm going to be reacting to more of that, of those animated stories. So if you have watched anyone and you feel like it's interested, just send me a link, guys. Link. I said a link. Put it there, and I'll check it out, and I'll be reacting to more of it. So guys, I said it. Bye bye.